What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me for another Budget with Me in YNAB video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Alyssa and I'm back today. I'm back from Pittsburgh. My boyfriend and I took a quick trip. It was like 3 days, 2.5 days really. We left on Thursday morning from Nashville, drove about 9 hours to Pittsburgh, got there Thursday evening and joined a couple of my friends for dinner that live in Pittsburgh. Then we spent Friday and Saturday seeing the sights, wandering around. We went to a Braves game. Well, it was Pirates game, but my boyfriend is a Braves fan, so we went to the Pirates versus Braves on Saturday, and the Braves won, and it was so weird being the enemy team and like at a stadium that I used to live there. Like, I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan, like Pittsburgh the city, but I'm not really like into sports that much. So it was a very interesting experience to like want to be into it, but like you're among people who are cheering for the other team, and then when the Braves won, it just ended and everyone walked up and I was like, wait, we won. Like, I didn't even realize that the Braves won because of how the crowd reacted. But yeah, that was super fun. And it was my boyfriend's first time in Pittsburgh. I used to live there. I lived there for about 1.5 years during the pandemic. So it was cool to kind of visit my old stomping grounds and show him around and see some cool sights, eat some good food. And then we came back Sunday evening, and I have some overspending to cover and talk about. But yeah, we're just going to jump into the budget. So pretty straightforward, ready to assign amount here. This is just my weekly paycheck. I didn't cash out any of my cashback cards or anything. So pretty even amount to work with this week. So as always, I am a month ahead and I'll flip over to June in a second. But what I budget in the current month with my paychecks, which with each of my weekly paychecks, is my investing and my taxes, because I have to pay quarterly taxes. I am a 1099 contractor, so we'll go ahead and do that. I set aside $500 from each paycheck towards investing, and this just comes out automatically. And so since I haven't budgeted on camera yet, it's overspent, but it's not really overspent because I budget for it every paycheck. So we're good there. And then I always set aside $275 a week towards my quarterly taxes. And then I do need to cover some overspending before I flip over to June, because if I don't, then you'll see YNAB kind of accounts for my overspent in my checking accounts, and I can't assign my full $775. I mean, I technically could actually, and then it would just say that I'm overspent in June and it would be fixed. Part of the problem is I overspent in travel. Not really though, because I have my adventure fund down here, which is where I spend from to travel. My problem is I don't want to pull from this fund if I don't have to, because my boyfriend and I are pretty much going to be traveling the entire month of July, and I don't know if even this will be enough. So I'm trying not to touch too much of this. And I'm kicking myself because so I had like $2,500 in here last month, and then I made like a really stupid decision to pay for our flights to Oregon with my credit card instead of using the travel points. And I don't know what I was thinking, why I did that. Like, I get 5%, I think 5% cash back to book through the Chase portal for travel. So I think I was thinking like, oh, I'll get extra cash back and then I'll just reimburse myself with my points. I have like over $1,000 worth of points in the Chase portal. But the problem with that is you only cash out points 1-to-1, versus my points are worth 25% more in the Chase portal. So I would basically be taking like a 25% pay cut if I withdrew the money instead of using it towards future travel, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of like kicking myself because now I have less cash on hand towards future travel, and I just wish I would have used my points and had more money for July. But we're going to work with what we got, and if needed, I'll just have to pull money from elsewhere. If really, really needed, I can always cash out my Chase rewards. I'd prefer not to, just because they are worth 25% more towards future travel. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So my plan for the rest of the month is to kind of cash flow as much of this from my monthly expenses as I can. So for example, I actually just rescheduled my therapy session for this month. Since there's only a couple weeks left in the month, I just pushed my session to June so that I can use this 165 towards travel. And that will actually cover 100 of this was from cash, and the rest of it is on credit card. So once I send this 165 to travel, it'll turn it yellow. There we go. And then basically that takes away, when I go to June, I have a little bit more to work with to assign there. I think it was 627 before, and now it's 727. So yeah, that's how YNAB works. You have to cover it wants you to cover like debit and cash expenses first, because that money is literally gone. Like you need to cover it or you can't trust your balances. Versus credit cards, you can just, if you end up leaving this as overspent, then in the next month, YNAB will just automatically count it as like debt that you have to pay off in your credit card category. So it's not as like an emergency to cover, but I'm still going to cover it by the end of the month, but I'm just going to kind of let it sit, and it won't mess up what I can assign in the future since it's not cash anymore. And so then we can snooze my therapy target. And basically, this rent situation, this is really annoying, because a couple of months ago, if you've been watching my videos, maybe you'll remember that we were trying to figure out, we just moved into this apartment at the end of January. So January, we just paid like a prorated rent. And then February, we paid a different amount. Then March was a different amount, but we get a $60 credit for the first 6 months towards Wi-Fi. That was just like one of the specials that they were offering as a move-in special. So Wi-Fi is $60 a month. So anyway, I think what happened is one of the first months, they undercharged us. They basically double credited us, and they undercharged us in our rent by $60 and gave us a $60 credit. And now they want that $60 back for that month, and then moving forward the next 2 months we will still get the $60 Wi-Fi credit. It's really annoying because like they're totally owed that money, but our rent system is so like weird and disorganized, and the fact that they caught this like months later and want their money back, but it's not even technically the right amount, because our rent should be $20.88 for the two of us. So my half is $10.44. And if we go back to the month that they undercharged us, which was March, we paid a total of $20.41 something. So they only undercharged us by like 40 something and not 60. So I'm just like annoyed because we're actually like, it's like, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like that's such a small amount of money, but just the fact that they're so disorganized, and now like they want the $60 back, but it's actually we actually would only owe them like 40 something. It's just not worth the hassle, because like we have been having to go back to them every single month and get them to credit our account for the $60 that they offered. Like, we didn't even ask for this. They offered it to us as a move-in special, the free Wi-Fi, and every single month we have to get them to credit it to our account. And it's just like, it's so annoying. And then they mess up and then they're still like overcharging us, but it's just not worth the hassle for like 20 bucks or whatever. So it's fine. Actually, I think it's like $12 extra that we are now paying, but I'm just going to hope that moving forward, it is actually fixed. It's kind of ridiculous that it's taken until May to like figure out what the heck we're supposed to pay for rent. But with all that being said, we had to pay a $60 credit, and it came out of checking. So in order to budget ahead, I need to cover this. And I think also my boyfriend's half is down here in the reimbursements. I just put all of the bills, like his half of the bills, down here. And then he pays me in one lump sum, either at the end of the month or the beginning of the next month when rent is due. So that's how I handle the fact that I pay the full amount, and then I just do a split transaction and have my half as rent and then his half as reimbursement, and then he covers these reimbursements. But I'm gonna have to cover these because he hasn't paid me yet. So we'll just go ahead and cover this with utilities. Why can't I find it? Utilities. Electric and water, because I renamed it. And then we can cover this one with electric and water as well. And then when he pays me back, I'll just put the money back in electric and water. And I will just snooze this for the rest of the month too. Okay, so now that I don't have any more red bubbles, I'm gonna leave this travel for a sec while I budget ahead. So now I have my full $775 to budget in June. So we can just go ahead and see how far this $775 gets us. So we can do household, medical, personal care, seeing and doing, stuff and things, therapy. Can we do all of Zeke the Freak? Yes, we can do. I guess we'll cover all of that and then we can put the rest into rent. Okay. Then we can go back and talk about a couple more things with travel and Zeke. So I don't know what I was thinking. I think in my head, I was thinking that we only get Zeke groomed every other month, but it is every month. So I need to move a little bit more money. Last month, what was it? Last month, my half was $63. So I think that's what I'm going to put here. And we don't need to buy food. We bought a huge bag last month that should last us probably all of next month too. So I can move, I'm going to do 63 minus 51 to, so I'm moving this from the food and supplies to grooming. Why? Oh my gosh. I did the wrong category. Okay. 50, 51, 63 minus 50, 51 to grooming. That worked. Okay. Then we can snooze that. And then I guess we can talk about like what I spent in travel. My half was $502.19, and that's because I I spent a little bit more than my boyfriend because I treated my friends to dinner. I bought the whole dinner, so it was $100 cash, which is actually pretty good for 4 people, I think. But yeah, it's just like, it's slightly concerning that 2.5 days in Pittsburgh was $502, and we're gonna be gone for like 3 weeks in July. And basically my plan for that when it comes to July is, since we're gonna be gone most of the month, I can use a lot of like my food and drink spending as travel money for that month, because we're going to be buying groceries. We're going to be spending some time in Colorado and in Bend, Oregon. So we're probably going to be going out to eat more in Colorado. And then while we're in Bend, we'll probably be relying a lot more on groceries. But yeah, so this will be like another 600 something towards having in Bend, plus I can probably take like household. I won't be going to therapy, so that's another 165 in July. And then gas money I can be spending out there. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not gonna panic about it, but I will have to be a little bit more creative with my budget. Oh, also I have a 16-cent credit. I'm gonna put that in travel. Wow. Now I'm only negative 337. So yeah, we'll see how the rest of the month goes. And basically what my plan is just to see how much I have, if any, left over in categories like dining out, groceries, household, maybe personal care, maybe seeing and doing. Basically, I want to cover as much of this as I can with extra money at the end of the month that I won't be needing, but I'm just going to let it sit for now. So yeah. Anyway, a little bit of a chaotic one today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, bye guys.